going out there. Because his graduation's that day, Wednesday, for that time.
It's a little warm in the second. Yeah, she's in the loft.
That's exciting.
So she.
Shall we get started?
I'm just setting us up, Commander.
Anyone see?
No. Okay. Very well. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Kingston Tree Commission. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the planning director for the City of Kingston. Just before we get started, a few quick announcements. I just ask that if you have your cell phone, that you please put it on silent so that it does not interfere with the meeting. If there are any conversations that are to be had that are not with the Tree Commission, we just ask that you take them outside of the room. You can use the council or the other conference room opposite the chambers if it's available. Bathrooms are right outside our door. Women's is to your immediate right, and men's is past the stairs on the right. If there is an emergency, please don't use the elevator. Please use the stairs. If you need assistance, please ask and we will help you. Outside of that, I do want to remind everybody that the meeting is being live streamed and it is being recorded. So I want you to acknowledge that in all your conversation. And with that, I'm just going to open the meeting at 4:59 p.m. and I'm going to go around the table and ask the other commission members to introduce themselves. Brent, I'll start with you.
So I'm Brent Pender. I'm the forester for the City of Kingston.
Everything, Tree Commission member.
Debbie Collins, Tree Commission member and representative for the Memorial Tree Fund.
Vince Archer, Tree Commission member.
Amanda O'Neill, Tree Commission member.
Okay, great. We do have a very busy schedule and we do have a guest. So I'm just going to do item 1 first. And that is just to adopt the July 8th, 2025 meeting minutes. You should have all received a copy of them from Brent in your email. Is there any comment, question, discussion on those meeting minutes? No? Okay, so hearing none, I'll just ask for a motion to approve. Motion by Evan, second. By, okay, I'm gonna go with Vince. Any question? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Thank you. So I guess you want to just jump into.
Yeah, we can, we'll discuss the schedule a little bit because we have Brett Borquist here who applied for a permit. He is 51 Clinton Ave. And you can go to your review sheets, and then I will also bring up the reviews that so you check sharing permissions like
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, Brett's permit is very straightforward. He's wanting to put a driveway apron at his property. I've marked with red lines where the driveway apron at 51 Clinton Ave would be going. And yeah, so I was able to talk with Brad about this ahead of time. He is happy to do the work with respect to tree roots that may be growing there, to make sure that the roots are not damaged during excavation, and to also install structural soil, the driveway apron, to cover the tree repair. And yeah, Brad, did you have any other things you'd like to put in?
Thanks for making it easy, Brent. You know, I'm not placing the driveway apron here specifically close to the tree because I want to interfere with the tree. It's just, it could be either side of the property, obviously not right through the tree. And I didn't want to have a driveway so close to my neighbor out of respect for him. And I do have some future plans, perhaps, of putting another structure, primary dwelling on the property as well. So my architects put together options, which side of the driveway, which side of the house you want the driveway. And, it only presents 2 options, and this was one I wanted to go with so that I could use it while I live in the property.
Mm-hmm. It's also compatible with where the seams are for the granite curbs as well. So it'd be the least amount of modification to the curb edge. And yeah, I think what Brad just described is also making sense. The large lot that's to the right of his house having, additional housing being put in is definitely something on Kingston's agenda. So it seems like this is an attempt to balance those aspects of having driveway access and taking care of this. But let's see if there's any questions from the commission members.
So when you said that the other option was on the other side, so it's like right next to the neighbors right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it could be the same on the other side of the tree
Yeah.
anyway, so it doesn't much matter.
Yeah,
It's not the same distance away.
very good point, yeah.
Yeah, these trees were retained during the Henry Street project as well. They're shingle oaks. Brett's house there is pretty lucky to have, you know, some nice sized oak trees on all sides as well.
So that's on Henry?
Yeah, that's the Henry side, and then Clinton Ave would be to the left
Okay.
where the intersection.
Yeah, the frontage of the house is Clinton.
Yeah.
And there's actually no space between the next house, my neighbor, 47 Clinton.
You have the
and-
green stuff up on the front of your house right now too, doing work on it.
No, I don't think that's me. I just put up some solar lights.
Okay.
That's on the front porch there.
So there's a change in elevation, Brad, from obviously street to your backyard grade.
Yep.
And the current stone wall, I see how it kind of, it's nice and it looks like it kind of corners back to your steps that go
Yeah.
up. Are you gonna have the same kind of treatment for the driveway entry?
So the plan for the driveway, it's going to become a entrance to the basement. That's gonna be, there's an addition that I have to put in, I'm waiting on my architect to finalize those plan sets for the back half of the house. It's approximately 8 foot wide, you know, from the back of the house to the right there in this picture. And so a new entrance to the basement is gonna be put in next to the driveway. And so I'm gonna see how that lines up when they start doing the work, but the staircase is gonna be just a walkway down to like
Okay.
12 inches below grade. And then the corner, I'm gonna restore that corner, salvage as much as I can, move it over to the next joint so that it maintains the aesthetic of the wall as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions from the commission members?
So you own the White House, and this is a driveway for the White House.
Mhm.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether
It was for the blue
it
one.
was, no, it was two neighbors and you were
Oh, yeah.
putting in a driveway and ultimately, eventually another structure that would be your house. You already have one of the houses.
Okay. So if there's no further questions, can we have a motion?
A motion to allow, the installation of a driveway and apron next to the tree with all the, standard conditions. And to, try to minimize the impact to the tree.
Okay. So there's a motion, is there a second? Okay, Madam Second. Any questions on the motion? Okay, all in favor? Okay. Thank you. Sorry. All good.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. That's my first experience ever with an application.
It's grueling, isn't it?
As I was saying, thank you for making it easy. Nice to see everybody. And Sue, thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so going back up on to
Yeah.
item number 3, tree work and appeal reviews.
Yeah, so we can just follow along within the order of the
Okay.
document now. So we'll start with just reviewing some tree work that was authorized and appeals granted during the tree commission's absence between the middle of July and up until the beginning of September. So this is really for the next couple of trees we're going over. The work's already been, authorized, in some cases completed as well. And then after section 3, when we get down to section 4, that's when we'll have more permits to review and vote on. But first one up was 21 Prince Street. That was a homeowner who was wanting to prune the branches away from the roof of their house. That work has been completed, and pruning work looks great. They used one of the tree services that was a certified arborist. really straightforward. And yeah, for the sake of time, I'll just kind of go down these, but if anyone has questions, just speak up. Next one, 63 Main Street. This is at the Friends of Historic Kingston Museum site. This is a very old honey locust tree. It's across from the old Dutch church that has a bunch of honey locust trees in it. So this tree is old. You can see that it has been limbed up quite high, to a height of like over 50 feet. So we are doing a managed retrenchment process. So retrenchment is where trees naturally die from the top and send out lower branches to keep themselves stable and live for longer. You can kind of basically stimulate or simulate it for them. And the main focus in the pruning work done last week was that branch to the left where there's a red arrow. That one was reduced to about 50% of its height. That branch was, pretty extended over the street, with only the real limbs being at the very tip of it. A lot of leverage, a lot of opportunities for it to snap in a windstorm. So this was both a safety thing. It's kind of hard to see from the winter photo, but the summer photo, you can see there's a lot of new branching on the lower half. So the cut has been done to create like the right angles for that new branching to take over. Similar work is going to be done on the other top two parts of this tree to bring the overall height down and also stimulate new side growth. Additionally, all those vines that are all over the trunk, those are in the process of being removed. Last time I went by there, beginning of this week, they're about 50% removed. What's that?
What are they?
Winter creeper? Yeah.
I was wondering if it was poison ivy or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, telephone
Yes.
poles.
If they had gotten away with having that much poison ivy in that corner, it would have been impressive.
I think that you included the winter shots, so it's easier to see
Yeah.
where the cut down needs to be.
Yeah, and so
Sense.
yeah, they're working with a tree service that I have confidence can do this kind of work, and that winter photo has been helpful for me to show to the tree service of which exact branches do the removal work on. Heading down to our next one is 43 Contacty Street. This was another pruning branches off of this building situation. This work has also been completed. Again, straightforward. The pruning work looks nice. Only the lowermost branches of this tree were removed in this process, so it still has a very even crown. Again, good quality work being done for these. Going down to Forsyth Park next, we did 5 tree removals in Forsyth Park of dead or in decline and severely leaning trees. Everyone has pulled up to the parking lot on the playground side of Forsyth Park. You've probably seen these trees. I know where the park borders Lucas Ave, there's been some tree fall in the past that was, compromising for utility lines and traffic and everything. So this was really preventative work that was done.
Which is great because there's so many kids that hang out at all different areas.
Exactly.
Mine included. I think over there.
Yeah.
Pretty danger.
2 trees were right next to the large, public bathroom that's on the opposite side of the parking lot. Those are kind of a loss to not have shade on that side, for the parking lot paving and everything. Even though they were standing dead as well. So I'm working with the Parks Department to get new trees planted there next week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just another topic because there's 3 trees from this stadium. Newly established, the finished stadium. There are 3 trees actually. It was dying or
Okay.
dying out. So I think I don't know which should be stadium.
Okay, well, Parks and Rec, and they were probably planted as part of the Deep Stadium project, reconstruction project. So they're probably warranted, and they might be just waiting to a certain point in time, and then they'll do their inspection of all the plantings, and they'll make that determination to replace whatever it has been dead or is dying and it's not considered any, healthy at that point, with the warranty. So they're generally 1 year. So we'd have to check with Parks and Rec. Fortunately, the project manager for that project is leaving the city, so I'm not sure if he'll be around for that, but, Parks and Rec will address that.
So I've been able to work with the project manager on that one. Earlier in the summer, we went through and checked every single tree. The warranty period is coming up for end of September, beginning of October. The plan is to replace 14 of those trees right now. Yeah.
So has the contractor been notified by the city?
They have by the project manager.
Okay.
I believe bonds are being withheld until they complete that work. The
Okay.
contractor.
Double check that because Jack is leaving
Yes.
next week.
Yeah.
So he won't be around to follow up on that?
Yeah, he and I have a kind of like a closeout
Okay,
meeting scheduled for next week
okay, good.
on some things.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. So moving on from Forsyth Park, we now have 38 Marys Ave. This was a storm damage situation, where end of July, we had a really strong storm pulse come through at night. It was a 3-truck Mulberry. One of the trunks fell all the way across Mary's. No complications, happened late at night. DPW was quick to clean it up. And then the property owner was really on top of getting the rest of the tree removed, because you can see from the photos that the 2 remaining trunks were very rotten, very unstable. I found out about this the next morning. This was like an immediate, posting hazard notice and getting in contact. So yeah, pretty smooth process of, different city departments working together to identify this hazard immediately and get it addressed. The next one, kind of 152 Foxhall has
I
come back
remember
again. Yeah. So this was from last fall, where the property owner wanted to remove these trees because of the apple loading. They then applied for an appeal with the commission in October. Commission denied the appeal. Property owner was open to cleaning up the apples and, carry that through for the following year. Property owner is, getting to an advanced age and his health is declining. So his daughter appealed to the mayor directly to have the trees, to get approval for the trees to be removed as, even the photos shown here, this year's amount of fallen apples, probably double that as well. I would have liked a situation where these trees could have been retained, because I would have preferred that there had been resources allocated to stay on top of the apples being cleaned. We got an additional year of these trees being here, so that was some benefit provided to Foxhall that time. These trees were also likely to be removed during the upcoming Flatbush Foxhall 3 project, supposed to start next year.
It's 27, not 26.
Thank you. So yeah, 2027. So one out of the 3 years that these trees could have been retained is what we were able to get out of this one. But we did lose next year and whatever month 2027 before these trees would have been slated for.
They look so healthy.
Yeah. And indeed they were. As a result, heavy
Had
fruit.
lots of apples.
But it's there's a world in which those apples could have been benefit, even though they're crab apples and those are a very bitter and astringent apple. Traditionally, crab apples have always been a really good source for cider making. The bitterest, ugliest apples make the best cider, right? There's a world where this could have been a resource, I wish we could have found another way.
Just out of curiosity, did she ask the mayor and the mayor just said yes, or did he talk to you?
He talked to me about it. We,
I mean,
I just wanted to
in the
know
code,
whether
that is the
he's-
code that they can appeal
Yeah.
and.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't, I realize we don't have a lot of power, but at the same time, you don't want to be overridden
you don't want to
without conversation.
Right, exactly. I think in this circumstance, it's the daughter reached out to the mayor, both like, kind of in person after hours, you know, close to where he lives. And then followed up with, various emails and stuff too. Always like very respectful and polite and everything, but I think this was, this, to an extent, I think it's worth talking about, like, what happens when we reach a situation where the property owner who is responsible for the care and maintenance of street trees does not have the, physical health to be able to do the management. Obviously, there's the question of financial resources, which is also what we talked to that property owner about last year. And he, at the time, also agreed that it would likely be cheaper to pay the lawn care service to clean up the apples. I don't know that he continued to be able to afford a lawn care service. These are questions that I did not get to ask the property owner in this situation.
Was he amenable to putting something else there that doesn't bear?
Well, if they're doing this project,
There's the
Oh.
Hot Salt Flatbush reconstruction project will put new trees along
Oh,
the
they,
entire,
yeah,
entire length of the street.
Like they
Yeah,
do.
it's, yeah,
like Franklin Street.
But I think,
yeah.
I remember us discussing that, we didn't want to see the trees go. We were sympathetic to the situation,
Right.
but we really just wanted to alleviate the cost of him removing them because of the two, we thought two, but it's 3 years of the difference.
Right, yeah. And, yeah,
Good thing. Because I just don't want people to think that as long as they reach out to mayors, then I think.
that's what I mean. You don't want the street commission to just be.
Right, and I mean, I know it's in person, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but I talk to mayor is good, then.
And
right,
if I bug him long enough, he'll pave.
Although there have been cases where people have appealed to the mayor and he has backed the tree commission.
right,
There was the case where we fined the individual down in Wilbur for the removal of the tree. And they appealed to the mayor and he said, no. You pay that fine. You took that tree down illegally. So
Yeah.
there are cases in reverse that. So I want that to be recognized.
The second part is, I mean, I'm not sure, of course, I feel bad for the person's health condition, but at the same time is as a being a homeowners, right? So is that going to set the example is like, okay, if I am having some, let's say, me personally, if I'm having the depression issues,
yeah,
I cannot handle the tree, and so can I just really file the application just because I am depressed and I don't want to deal with the tree, so I want to remove the tree.
yeah.
It is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Right, and for most slippery slopes, it's like, where do we just mark so it doesn't continue sliding? I think this would probably be a different context if the street work is not planned to happen in 2027 anyway.
Probably didn't want to just wait, because I can't imagine how much money both of those trees cost. And
Well, no, too, but I think the type of tree is something to
Right.
think about too, because
I mean, did they
fruit
plan-
bearing trees
More than likely.
are not appropriate street
On street,
trees. And I
right.
know there's a fraction out there of people that, let's put more fruit trees in and around the city of Kingston. It's good for animals, whatever. That's okay in a park situation, but you can't be putting that kind of thing on the streets. And I think that's something.
I'm surprised people don't take them. Like, I planted 2 mulberry trees, and people have no problems like walking into my property and taking my mulberries.
Well, maybe because it's crab apples and they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Like my mother used to make crab apple jam, but
Yeah, exactly.
after that was kind of like all she could do. How much crab apple jam can you eat?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, like this is kind of something that has mostly been resolved with crab apples. We have numerous cultivars that have what's called persistent fruit. So it's fruit that doesn't drop over winter. And usually that fruit is, much smaller also. The size of those ones, birds would not be able to eat it. Like this is also, potential situation for vermin to arrive also. But a persistent winter fruit tree, which can be crabapple, can be hawthorn, those examples, those are fantastic, like bird supporting tree
Yeah.
species as well. Yeah, like
I just want to make sure like that this is, like, I mean, we agree that the tree commission members who, feel like, okay, might have a different point opinion, but at the same time, it's like, because this is a really an exception, so like, we want to make the minute notes, like,
Mhm.
like, make
yeah.
then like, okay, but at the same time, like, you might.
Yeah,
And we've had people come to us and say, why did you let that tree be removed? It was so beautiful and it's just down the street from me. So there's that other side too. And they've come to us and said, why did you let that happen?
yeah. In that situation, we also do have a letter from the mayor addressed to the tree commission approving the appeal for the removal of this tree, or these two trees. But I think you make a good point. And so in the meeting minutes, I'll make sure that the conversation around, the commission and the authority granted to the commission by the mayor in the city code. And then, this context where an appeal was not approved by the commission, but then was approved by the mayor.
But it seemed like they were okay, because it looks like they put mulch around the street.
Yeah, they did like that little like plastic ring and then mulch, but then, the crabgrass and crabapple, they grow over top of the mulch and the plastic ring gets like trampled and that sort of thing. So it was not very tiny looking. But it's, you had asked Amanda, like, did the property owner plant these trees? I think the answer is yes, yeah. And, they cared for it. This last year was not the first year that these trees made fruit, right? So.
How old are they? I mean, because it's a crab,
Yeah.
they don't look that old, but
Right.
because it's a crab, maybe they don't get that big.
I'm guessing they're 25 years old.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Small tree.
Yeah. But they can be long-lived. Apples, historically, can be 200 years old. We have examples of it all over the Northeast. But yeah, Sue makes a good point too, of like, there is like an interest in, fruit trees and that sort of thing. And, do people know that the fruit is safe to eat? This is like the hugest barrier to community orchard projects of like, if you're only used to seeing an apple that's exactly 2¼ to 2½ inches wide, blemish free, perfect wax on it and everything, are you likely to pick one of those apples off the ground and bite into?
I am, but I grew up by Canada.
Yeah.
You grew up what?
Grew up by Canada.
Yeah, I had the thought.
Great crab apple trees everywhere.
Well, we had apple trees and they looked terrible. My mother still made pies.
I mean, that's
Just
the thing.
cut the bad parts.
Yeah. Air quotes around ugly, but ugly fruit used to be normal.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, is it okay if we keep going from this one? And I really appreciate everyone's comments on that one too. We make sure they're the meeting minutes, but we're moving on to ones to vote for. So these are permits to be reviewed. Our first one that we'll touch on is 155 Pearl Street. We got a 311 report for this tree. Hopefully we can see in the photos as well that the tree has, some dead branches, wounding from trucks passing by on the large left street side limb that did not get pruned earlier in life where it could have avoided growing to a size. But then most importantly, in the middle there, you can see a strong bacterial growth happening as well. This was a 311 report, then went to a reach out by me to the property owner. Property owner is willing to remove the tree in this context. The barrier to doing that is that there is a support cable tethered into the tree by Central Hudson. That cable's probably been there 20 years plus. This is a practice they're not doing anymore.
Do they come out and take care of it?
So that's also in,
Yeah.
in progress now. Yeah.
I've
So
never seen something like that.
yeah, okay, so there's quite a few examples. We have a stub over, is that Pearl Street?
Oh, yeah, the.
Change, right?
Yes, Maiden Lane and Wall Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's supposed to be, we visited this one a few months ago, where it's just a tree trunk with no limb still on it. But yeah, both of those are in process with Central Hudson. Timelines, TBD. I notified them that this is like a weak wooded species tree, so it really does not provide the tethering support that they may think it does. And they're in the middle of, I think they've decided on what sort of other support system that they want to use to support the pole. Probably the installation of another, sub pole or something like that.
Since they are using it, can they just pay for removal?
They're not willing to do so.
Oh. Yeah, but so that, I think as a being a tree commission, of the city, we should ask the owner to remove it without even noticing.
Oh, the property owner to remove it?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, property owner is completely on board.
yes. So, but I'm just saying like, because Central Hudson has this, like attach the wire on the tree,
Right,
it becomes a public hazard
right.
to remove it.
So I think that's a really good point. If in the situation this tree were to fail and removal was not done because it would have compromised the Central Hudson utilities, there is a question of liability on Central Hudson's part for being informed about the lack of, structural safety that this tree has and not prioritizing faster disconnection of this guy wire to then remove the tree.
And there's another question is, if like if they attach the wire to the tree, is that the main cause to make the tree die?
Unlikely,
No,
yeah.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, if you think about really big trees where you put in the cabling support to keep the two stems together, that's effectively what this is, but to hold a telephone pole up. And those, yeah. It seemed like a good idea in the 80s. Yeah, so those bolts that get installed, they're of pretty low consequence to the tree. But Amanda, you have a question?
Well, like kind of going by like the liability aspect that Evan's saying, let's say right now we approve this tree to be removed. As a company that's ready to go next week. They're now delayed until Central Hudson comes and takes care of this.
That's right.
So at that point that we approve it tonight based on the concept of liability, if a storm rolls through.
Right.
One day after they could have removed this tree and caused some form of damage, who's responsible? Is it the homeowner at that
Well,
point?
I mean, I think if the commission grants the authority, you're not really granting authority, you're more or less giving a directive to remove the tree to the property owner.
Right.
The code says it's their responsibility. So the property owner, I think, and the city of Kingston should both put Central Hudson on notice that this tree is a public safety risk and that their guide wire, which is in it, needs to be relocated and put them on notice. And then legally, legally from a perspective of defending any hazard that happens, at least the city has some kind of documentation and grounds that say, hey, you were notified. I mean, if the city is notified of an issue and doesn't address it, then our liability is increased tenfold. All right, so same in reverse for Central Hudson, it should be the same.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, so you conclude that when you vote in the conditions that, city has to send a notice, to Central Hudson.
And the owner should notify them that they have an appointment.
Yeah.
The owner should as well.
Yeah, the last thing that I should note is that the property owner is also willing to prune the tree. If, right now it's, mostly minor deadwood, but if the tree's condition gets worse and there becomes like a, significantly hazardous limb, they're more than, they're not trying to just not do anything for the sake of not doing anything.
Is this growth an issue that should be of concern to other trees in proximity?
Oh, no, not in this case. This is like a response to the tree's decline.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, so so part of my inspection rounds and everything, this tree is on my list of checking in frequently because of the context that it's in. If I see like a sudden decline for a large branch, I will be notifying the property owner. They've agreed to do pruning in the short term. It would be financially less expensive for them to only do removal. They have had a tree company come out to give a quote for pruning, so they had everything ready to go in either circumstance. But yeah, commission like to take a quote?
So a motion to approve tree removal pending, Central Hudson removing the guy wire. And the city and the owner should both notify Central Hudson of the issue, so and with all standard conditions.
Okay, so there's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Amanda. Any discussion?
Want to know, are we going to also ask them to replant another tree?
That would be a standard, one of our standard conditions. As- Right, and also, we would also give them the reimbursement application form. Paperwork.
Your observation of the tree, is it imminent that a limb will come down, or is it?
Unlikely.
The risk is there, but it's a low risk.
Yeah, it's, if we're looking at risk on a scale of low to critical, this is somewhere in the low category where it's like, I would want it resolved in like the next 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay.
Very good. So
Rutland Street.
we're gonna skip on the list here is Clinton Ave. We already reviewed this one and we're moving on to 7 Bond Street. The property owner has submitted a permit to remove 2 damaged trees. They're in the planting strip. These trees were previously severely topped for the utility wires overhead. I apologize that the photos are a little awkwardly shaped. The photos that I took got kind of file corrupted and wouldn't save back and forth. So these were the ones that the property owner provided. But what we see on the left here sideways, the trunk is going horizontally, but it would be vertical normally, right? And this is all decay that's happening around here at the very base. As you move over to the middle picture of where all of these different limbs are shooting out, I would call this really poor attachment for these limbs.
Yeah.
Both like, no structural pruning was done to, establish one, healthy growing leader that would have a good connection. And then the rod underneath is like the foundation structure. They're both sugar limbs.
Should make.
Yeah. And also in the third picture, also kind of hard to tell, it's sideways, but you can see my cursor moving. This is a large branch that broke off in the past month. That the property owner also paid a tree service to remove. Property owner is willing to, or the property owner is willing to have the trees removed, the stumps ground, and to plant new trees. Low growing trees because there's a utility wire conflict in this case. But yeah, any questions from the commission?
So what's the process going to do if Central Hudson is willing to remove the tree? Are we approve the removal? Then the city will enter.
The city would grant the approval to the property owner in this case, because the responsibility goes back to that person. Yeah, and then property owner has communicated to me that Central Hudson's willing to remove the trees. And so the property owner would navigate that. So Central Hudson kind of acts as like the the tree service that's secured for doing the removal work.
In fact, we just got notices from Central Hudson saying they're doing a lot of tree work. And I think if you want a tree removed, that's like not a street tree, that's close to your house, that they would do it for a
Yeah.
price.
Yeah, it's kind of a good deal for them.
Yeah, because like, they're not responsible for the wire from the tree, from the road to your house, but they'll treat, they're willing to do that right now. I guess they're doing work.
Yeah, if they can get a little bit of money paid from the property owner to do it, it's not a bad deal for them instead of
Yeah.
paying on whatever yearly cycle to contract.
It's a contractor. I don't think so. They're not Central Hudson employees. They're contractors to Central Hudson. So they're private guys out there in the field. So it's just extra money. If they're in the neighborhood,
They may as well.
it's easy for them to, do these little side jobs while they're there with all their equipment in place. Then, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, any other questions?
Okay, so we need a motion.
I propose the motion to, grant the tree, the tool tree removal based on the city's standard process or standard procedure.
Okay, and replanting too. Is there a second? Second by Vince. Any discussion?
Or did you? If they're gonna plant any trees, and they're gonna do a medium or a small tree,
Yeah,
did we give them any information relative to types of tree?
not yet. That'll be a follow-up after the trees.
Okay.
Okay.
How
Anything else?
big is the lawn space there? Is it suitable for another?
Yeah, it's slightly
3
under,
feet.
slightly under 4, so probably like the 3.5 mark.
You think?
Okay.
Yeah, that trunk is maybe like 15 inches or so.
Okay.
Can't remember off something. But yeah, there's soil space to do right by like, let's say a red bud or something like that.
Mhm.
All right, so moving on to
We have
the,
to vote.
oh, sorry.
So no further discussion. Okay, all in favor? Okay. You.
Okay, thanks. Moving on to the last one, 364 Broadway. This is an unauthorized pruning. This one will probably take a minute to go over. So the property owner came into the planning department wanting to prune a branch off of a street tree on Broadway, where the branch had been rubbing on a stone piece on top of the roof edge. I spoke with the property owner at that point. There was, a language barrier. English was not the property owner's first language, very limited English capability. So his daughter was on speakerphone trying to do some communication work for that. So I gave some markings from photos of the tree of where to prune the branch. The property owner did want to prune more of the branch than what I was recommending. We helped him fill out the permit, told him that there would be the commission review process, that he'd need to hire a tree service to do the work. Then a couple weeks later, we were notified of the stone piece falling off the roof of the building. We reported it to Buildings and Safety as well. When going out to look at it, as you can see in the photos here, the large branch was cut off with about 4 feet of the stub sticking off of the tree. So I documented and got ready for you all's review. In that time between me seeing that the unauthorized pruning had happened, I think the property owner tried to come in 5 minutes after City Hall closed to provide a invoice for the tree pruning. it was from a just general building cleanup service, and the invoice was listed as cut down branches on it. So not a tree service, not a certified arborist, that sort of thing. I reached out to the handyman service and let them know, hey, the city has a permit review process that was not done in this case. Also, the type of cutting that you did here risks shocking the tree into death. Which means that now this tree will be on my monitor list for, the next 5 years or so. So it's unclear if the property owner completely understood the permitting requirements via translation. But
Is he Chinese?
yes, yeah, speaks Mandarin and not Cantonese.
You want me to help you?
And if you're willing to do so, yeah.
I'll send the time to visit
Yeah.
on the.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it may worth be having the conversation in his native language. I thought about roping Stephanie into it too, but she's like, I don't want no part of your job and what you're doing. So it'd be nice to be able to fully communicate to property owner what the situation is, to one, see if they would just like to resolve it without it being, a fine penalty situation, but
Yeah, I mean, I think if Evan is willing to give it a shot, I think that's a really good approach
Yeah.
to start out with. And just to explain to them and, that it was done incorrectly and that you do need to go back and do some additional work, at least, I think, right? That's what you're saying. you
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
do. And if Evan can translate that and communicate that to the property owner, at least that's a step in the right direction.
yes.
I'm on the fence about finding the individual at this point. I'd rather see it remedied at his expense. I would say that he would be eligible for a reimbursement under our grant program. But at least at his expense, correct what's been done wrong to make at least preserve the tree for
Yeah,
a few more years. I think that would be the best.
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
just think maybe it's because of language barrier, but at the same time, it's like, okay, before we impose something, then we should explain thoroughly to the owners. And so, the first time, okay, is they say the second time he continued to he understand it fully, and he did it, then and I think that is pure ignorance, and that we can just
Yeah.
impose the fine and.
I think that makes a lot of sense, to confirm that there's full understanding there first, before making the evaluation of is this the result of an accident misunderstanding, or is this a result of not being interested in doing the things that we're requesting to preserve the tree where it is. One thing that I also want to check in on for the commission members is, I'm because there is a potential that this large of a limb being removed from the tree does have short-term negative health effects. I think it needs consideration of what does it look like if this tree is dead in 3 years from this pruning or this cutting. Yeah, this branch removal. Yeah.
So what is the remedy, since they did it wrong initially, to remove the rest of that branch?
Yeah. So that's the troublesome part, is that for many reasons, it's a good idea to remove that branch. Aesthetics is part of it also, because you can kind of. Let me see if I can zoom in here, but
Isn't energy still going to that branch that it's not going to the rest of the tree?
yeah. So the light colored triangle here is where the bark's been torn off because the right kind of cut isn't happening.
Yeah,
But at the base, at this cut where it has happened, the tree response will be to send out a ton of shoots, which would be another management item that is less likely to happen if it's pruned at the appropriate location.
But does that limb it's still green, right?
Yes.
And so potentially would sprout new.
Right.
It will, similar to the maples that we just looked at in the last one. The attachment point will always be compromised there. There's, because of the ratio of like how skinny a branch is and the angle it would grow from. Like it's not like a natural, like it goes and there's a 45-degree branch, that sort of thing.
If you cut it back, like a foot back or whatever,
Mhm.
wouldn't that give it some stability?
You recognize the tree.
In that case, I don't think it would.
That's a trend.
What I would really recommend there is just pruning it to the trunk at the appropriate angle, which a tree service would accurately do. And yeah, this is a tough situation where like as an arborist, I would not recommend pruning that branch at all, which is why I made the recommendation to do like an end reduction of the branch. It's really unlikely that the tree will be able to heal properly over the wound. On the other side, species dependent, this is a honey locust. So honey locusts are very resilient trees. But it will be a very large wound that has the potential for decay to enter. Yeah.
Does the rest of the tree look okay?
What's that? The arrow to the left, that's,
Yeah. So
it's like that branch is broken.
yeah, that was another cut.
God.
Yeah. So yeah, these arrows, I'll try to zoom in a little bit more here, but that'll get it pixelated.
Oh, I see it
Yeah.
now. So it almost looks like it broke off after.
Yeah, so they started cutting and it snapped off. So this is another corrective pruning area that would happen. Yeah. This is.
What did it do? Because you can't see the whole thing. What did it do for the balance of the weight?
Yeah.
Did it affect that?
Good. I'd say like the tree was much wider going in the direction of the street than building side versus street side. So think of it more, if you were looking at it overhead, it had more of an oval shape to it. And 15% of that skinny side of the oval.
So does the other side need to be pruned now to
That's what
balance
I'm
it out?
out. Does the whole tree?
Because now, like the heavy part's heading toward the street,
Right.
which, but you don't want to lose more of the tree.
Well, that's kind of the
It's
thing, like
a-
so much was taken off with this cut that I would want to wait a couple of years before any corrective pruning happens. And, potentially this section of Broadway is also wanting to be done with the Broadway Street Revitalization Project. And so this could be an opportunity for this tree to be preserved in that process and then appropriately pruned for like a new streetscape as well.
Is that on the Foxhole?
It's
Or
right
right
nearby.
corner?
It is under.
It's down Chinese for that first block.
Yeah. Maybe this is a little bit closer up photo.
Maybe if the tree dies,
Right.
then we will just find it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the question, right?
It's a condition, right? And the
Yeah.
condition of tree survival, the tree survives.
Yeah. So that's something that I would like you all.
That might be something we need to put in the motion.
Right, yeah.
You need to do corrective pruning. But because you made this mistake and if the tree dies, then
Because.
Well, I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but if the tree die, I mean, all trees are gonna die in
Yeah.
some way. Okay, so.
How do you?
That's what
We're
time
not gonna
frame,
tell whatever,
and,
yes.
it could die as a result of something completely
else.
different.
Well, that's kind of-
I mean,
that's kind of-
get hit by a car or
Yeah.
a truck and die from that, and, so you gotta, it's hard. I mean, I don't know how you justify finding down the road in the future.
What you would do in that situation is if you can identify any other stress events, which to your point, Stu, like there are ones that are easy to identify.
Right.
If a car hits the tree, the city will know about that and there will be a wound to the tree. So that would be something where now there's been this new injury to the tree. The total liability to the property owner is decreased at that point because there's potentially equal likelihood that if the tree dies in the following year, that it wouldn't just be the pruning cut that did it. Or, if it's the situation where unauthorized street or sidewalk were to happen, right? Or if in response to this whole thing, some, acts of maliciousness happens to the tree. If it's the case of like, disease happening to the tree, that's also a gray area where I would not want to put 100% of the responsibility onto the property owner. But if we were to kind of have the, situation where no other stressor situations can be observed with the tree and it dies next year, I think that's a little bit more of a clear circumstance. 5 years from now,
It'd be tough.
right, that, at that point, even if we wanted to pursue something, there's, the legal questions that would come up. And there's a ton of tree law stuff on it. It's really fascinating. There are ways where it has been legally determined that, yes, this thing that happened 5 or 10 years ago was the cause of the tree dying. I don't think it makes sense for me to be the arborist that makes that call because I'm a representative of the city of Kingston. So in that situation, a third-party arborist, but it's a little quagmiry at that point. Maybe it makes sense to have a shorter-term lens for this, as far as like if we see the tree die in the following year, and otherwise, say like 2027, 2028, we see that this tree is in decline. Maybe that's the opportunity to revisit it by the tree commission. See if there have been any other, did the car get into it? Did a sewer pipe get excavated and half the roots were removed, that sort of thing. But I think it makes sense to check on the tree's condition at that time in the future to revisit, as opposed to trying to project very far into the future.
So I would suggest like, just, of course, I will go with you just to
Yes.
ask the owner to resubmit the whole, the owner should understand the whole tree removal or pruning process. And I guess the owner should resubmit the applications.
Mhm.
But like the second part is like, like he need to understand, I guess, what's tree removal. He need, like the.
It would be his responsibility.
That the tree service company is
Yeah.
overhandling it because the insurance, we don't know the insurance there, the public safety issue. So I think that's the only thing.
Yeah,
I think that was a risk that he cut the tree without
Yeah.
demonstrating appropriate insurance or.
And did that stone fall because they decided to cut that branch and it hit that stone and make it fall?
The branch was holding it up.
Where's the order of operations on that? Like, yes, it was hitting that stone, but did they just go and cut it and then that branch hit that stone really hard and make it fall? And
I wasn't there for it to happen, so I'd only be speculating. But our buildings and safety department was informed about it also. I think if that was something that any parties were interested in, I'm sure over there, I don't know, like looking at, private business security cameras would probably be the only way to really find out what actually happened in that situation. But no severe property damage happened when that stonework fell, and no one was injured when that stonework fell. Yeah.
Good thing the payment didn't fall.
That should happen too. Yeah, in interest of time, because it's 5:55, it sounds like Evan, you're kind of putting forward would you like to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'll just make a motion.
Yes.
For, in order to avoid the fine, like the whole owner should resubmit the application.
Yeah, so communicate first, you're willing to do so, for the homeowner to be responsible for the reconditioning of the tree through pruning work. And then, do we want to make a window of time for if the tree were to suddenly die from this stress event?
I would say, instead of doing that, just say like after, well, obviously you'll communicate too that they need to use a licensed arborist to do all of this work. And so you would add on all your standard conditions, but I would just say that once that work is completed, that the tree is monitored by you for the following year.
Okay.
And that within that year, we identify if there's any issues at the end of the year, then we'll make a decision. But I think, if it goes beyond the year and it looks like it's going to, as a highly resilient tree, as you said,
Yeah.
it's going to be okay and survive for the most part
Yeah,
a good life.
yeah. Yeah, like,
do it that way.
I always communicate because there is always a chance something like this kills the tree, regardless of species. Certain species, more and more unlikely, and honey locust is one of those. Overall, anything like this reduces the expected lifespan of the tree. But it sounds like is the commission okay with 1 year review?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Does he have to resubmit the paperwork for this additional pruning?
He never submitted anything for it.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I guess that.
Yeah, that's,
I thought he did submit paperwork, but then got the wrong person.
But
They speak pretty good English in the rest of them. So I don't understand ignorance, they're saying, I don't know what you're talking about.
let's
There's also that aspect that we won't.
Let's confirm full understanding regardless of what language.
Yeah,
we use.
I mean, but it'd be good if Evan can translate.
So there's a motion, is
So
there a
motion by
second?
Evan,
Second by Amanda. Any other discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, call for the vote, all in favor? Okay, very good.
Okay, so we're at 5:58. I just want to check in on time. We have 3 more things to review on the agenda. So there's private tree reviews, which have been requests by community members for the tree commission to see. Obviously, we'll do that one. We'll probably run a little over time. Is the commission comfortable with staying to potentially 6:20 today?
Yeah, that would be bad. I have a 7:00, so you gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Okay, so I will keep us on track. I thought 364 Broadway would take, but a private tree review thing. So this is just for basically your edification. Since this tree things happen on private property, one of them was initiated by me through the city, and the other one just was notified by a community member. So the first one here is 24 Stuyvesant Street. That's where Stuyvesant meets Broadway at the curve going from Midtown to Rondout area. It was a large white pine. It was in pretty severe decline. We had a large branch drop on it over the sidewalk there. That's that sidewalk that's behind the guardrail on Broadway on the outside of the curve. Tree was presenting risk and hazard in the public space. I sent a notification to the property owner, and the property owner was willing to remove the tree. Property owner is also very excited about the idea of planting new trees. That lot borders their home. It's not, they would love to add some beautification to that corner.
So there's a homeowner that borders a lot on the street.
Yes. So this tree was on private property.
Yeah, it's private property.
Yeah. In this case, the city code, there's some ways that the city code does apply to hazards that private property trees present as far as risk to the public space.
So, that's.
Yeah, and this one in decline, insect infestation, dropping large branches, kind of a clear cutting, but check in and see if anyone had any comments or questions on that. Okay, and then second one is 136 St. James Street. This was reported by a community member. This is from their report, we didn't get to see this tree ahead of time. It was in a backyard, but they were reporting it as a very large, healthy tree that was, really part of their enjoyment from where I think they rent like a coach house on like the back of the yard bordering that property. But they were very sad to see that tree go, and they wanted to have the tree commission notify of it. As far as actions, there are.
I was gonna say we can't do anything.
Yeah.
They're doing, not in.
Yeah, but I'll try to keep it very brief. This is, points to mention the tree preservation ordinance that's still under review, kind of open-ended review by our finance and audit committee. This would be a situation where, maybe the tree did have some defects that were not easily able to be seen, and for safety, it made the most sense, but there's not an opportunity to confirm that ahead of time. The ordinance would not ever be a barrier to like public safety and the removal of trees, of course. The language is very, very detailed and specific about that. But if it was a healthy tree, and the property owner decided to remove it, going through the permit process that there would be for private trees over a certain size with this ordinance, or if they chose to do it while being aware of the ordinance, but deciding not to go through the permit process, that overall value of the tree, which can be, determined as a financial value, would be something that the property owner would be able to recontribute back to the community through the city of Kingston, either through the planting of replacement trees, and or payment of funds into a separate tree account. And then those account funds go to tree plantings, tree work, community assistance for trees on private property as well. So this is the hopeful positive feedback loop that this ordinance would provide without really being, onerous, regulation and permitting on anything outside of the context of just kind of healthy tree removal for whatever intents of a property owner may want, regardless of how it may affect their neighbors, either, in this case, they were mainly focusing on like their quality of life, but there's also financial implications as well. Will the neighboring property owners have more expensive heating and air conditioning bills now that this tree has been removed? Again, only in the context of if this tree was perfectly healthy, right? That is the closeout for tree reviews for this meeting. The next one to go over is kind of more community connection things, so our fall plantings and community events. I'm going to try to keep this to 5 minutes or so, but we are moving forward with fall plantings. We just finished getting the quotes back for that. Quotes were due on Monday of this week. We got some new nurseries also interested that in providing quotes for us. So those are being considered in the quote review. This is our standard quote process where we will be ultimately deciding potentially on lowest bidder, or if a potential vendor submitted a quote that provides to our specifications. And that's a city process that's doable under certain thresholds for quote requests, usually around $30,000. I think it's the number. Over that, then there's a more elaborate like request for proposal, request for bid process, which is what we've used for bigger street tree planting projects in the past. These locations are going to be mostly street trees, some replacement street trees as well. Not for ones that were planted through our free street tree planting program, but we have a couple of dives that are happening on the new parts of Broadway. Some of the trees and like the bioswales have died in those locations as well. There's always going to be a certain percentage of trees that die in a new planting project for various reasons. So we'll be replacing those this fall. So that way these bioswales are not sitting with either a dead tree or a lack of tree for a long period of time. I mentioned before, and these are the final tree tags that will be going on the newly planted street trees as well. And close out
whoever did the redo of the runway report, were they responsible for those trees?
Similar to what we were talking about with Beat Stadium, there's a 1-year warranty on them. But oftentimes that 1-year warranty, many trees can just sit and slowly decline over that first year. It's not, the 1-year warranty doesn't really reflect what we expect to see happen to newly planted trees. In my ideal world, it would be a 5-year warranty. It would be very challenging to find a contractor who's willing to agree to that. Yeah. I should also mention with our fall plantings, we are moving away from the gator bags for watering purposes, and instead we will be using tree diapers. Silly name for a product, but they are essentially large pads that go underneath the mulch on newly planted trees. They absorb excess rainwater, snow melt, that sort of thing. At the time of install, they're fully charged, is the term. They usually hold about 10 to 15 gallons of water. As the soil gets drier, those diapers then wick water into the soil. So it's a great way. I can't say that it helps trees thrive, but it does help them survive. And I think survival is probably our most attainable goal in improving when it comes to tree planting projects. They're a little bit more expensive than the gator bags are, but that's only if you're factoring in not paying for water and labor to fill the gator bags. Yeah, I'm also curious about the company that makes the tree diapers. I've already set up an account for us at City of Kingston. We can get a pretty cheap rate on buying them in bulk as well. So I'm also curious about retrofitting some of our other street tree plantings that would still be in the need of supplemental watering. Franklin Street's an example of that. Yeah, if we set them, we can put them in without recharging them with water after like fall and we have like, cool freezing overnight temperatures, and they'll passively charge up over the winter. So I think that'll be a great way to help, some of these recent street tree projects out. And then for our upcoming Flatbush Foxhall Street project as well, I'm requesting that engineering spec supplemental watering devices. It's like the technical term for them, for the trees that we planted in that process as well. Nice thing is that after the 3 years, if the mulching has been kept up and weed whackers have not torn these bags apart, which the overhead gator bags are much more likely to get torn up from weed whackers, we can reuse these bags too. Yeah.
That's good. Before you explain the diaper thing.
Yeah.
That was gonna be a question of mine, is those bags on Franklin Street, because, Sue's had me walk a couple of times and they're filled with garbage.
Yes.
And I think they don't really mess with the one in front of my house too much, but I've gone out
Yeah.
and
Like, people are putting garbage in there.
Yeah.
Not just random
Like,
stuff.
when you get more to like the midtown section of Franklin Street,
Mhm.
almost all of them had like peelings in them, like
Yeah.
crazy. So like I literally, when I was walking through, shook the bag out and I was like, and then I put the bag back down and I left it as is, but I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime there's,
So
You
the
think,
diaper
like-
sounds more
I think this
friendly.
will eliminate the potential, similar to like if a
And
street
people
light.
won't see it because it'll be under the mulch.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I was out trimming my bushes in front of my house when I first moved in, and somebody threw a Pepsi bottle on the other side of the bush. Like, as I was out there, didn't go well for him, but I into it.
We moved into our first house in Kingston. We were sitting there the first week and we were up on a big rock and someone on a motorcycle, we could hear the motorcycle. They stopped at the light, threw a bottle out, hit our glass door. The screen, the store door, broke the glass. Oh my God. I think he must have given it a really good shove because the rock we were up on was like 10 feet up. But
No, I think the tree diaper solves a lot of these.
Does it do any insulation for the winter by having it there? Does that help it too in some way?
A little bit, yes, and also weed suppression.
yeah.
Around the base of the tree too.
Which is also good, because we've had some weird tree things with thorns come up by that tree that got planted.
Oh, yeah, I know Tony. Yeah. But I think we should move on. I also want to talk about the tree events that I've been doing in y'all's absence. But
I missed those.
it's totally fine. There's
I
only-
heard the Academy Green is great.
Yeah, I mean, here's a photo example at Academy Green where I'm sharing, probably talking way too long as I usually do about trees, to a group of captured audience. And yeah, it was a really great turnout for this Academy Green tour. It ended
A lot
with
of Ulster Garden Club members were there.
yeah, it was a big turnout for the Ulster Garden Club. At the end of it, we installed new tree diapers around the base of the cherry trees. Ulster Garden Club members, they bought the tree diapers, or Memorial Tree Fund, excuse me, bought the tree diapers, bought the mulch. They were interested in doing the pine chip mulch. It's fine. the reason that they look so high, similar to volcano mulch, is because they're sitting on top of the 5-inch thick, fully
Yeah.
charged diapers. Mulch is not buried around the stems of the trees. Yeah, another example of that, we had some community members bring some tubs to fill with water. So we set those up in the morning. This event happened in the afternoon, and we charged the tree diapers in those tubs before installing them at the base of the cherry trees. The reason that those trees look so healthy is that when they were installed, I think 2 years ago, I believe, the nursery that was contracted for those also supplied tree diapers at that time. I think mulch was put over top of them at install. The mulch, of course, broke down over the last 2 years. I don't think anyone really knew what the diapers were around the base of the trees. And so, yeah, lawn crews macerated them. But they didn't know, and there was no mulch put down. So they're just trying to clear weeds away. So I took those out. 2 of them I've patched and I've put on 2 other trees that could use some help right now. Again, reusable. And these diapers, maybe we'll keep them on for another year or 2. If we keep up with the mulching, which I'm hoping to do with community events, that should make the diapers in good condition to be reused. I'm going to switch over to post office.
So are
Go ahead.
crews gonna be told about these diapers now,
Yes.
so they don't destroy them?
Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah,
really,
well, if the mulch is obviously, is it done correctly and it's identifiable?
They'll stay
mow
away
over
from
the
it.
mulch, they'll stay away from it, so.
yeah. And then the one that happened 2 weekends ago, Post Office Park. Our new park where we have over 50 trees on the site. This one I had a little bit more prep time, so I was able to make trifold templates to give out to people who attended. Both these events, double-digit attendance. 16 people showed up to Post Office Park. I think 14 or 15 for Academy Green. Yeah, these are low quality printed paper ones, but this would be something that's reusable, because I see a benefit to hosting these tours maybe on an annual basis in parks as well. Yeah, with our last couple of minutes, first, anyone have any things about events? I'm sorry we can't dedicate more time to it,
Good
but
question.
yeah.
Do we ever allocate a budget for tree maintenance? Like,
Is there a city budget for tree maintenance?
yeah, like a prevention or like for the spray, for the like invasive species?
We do not have a city budget for those items.
But like, the bugs and or like
Yeah.
the tree.
Well, the DEC grant has a little bit of that.
Yeah, so separate from the
Right.
tax-based funded budget, yeah, the DEC grant, we have funds available, which those funds we will be officially using starting January of 2026. And yeah, invasive pest is, spotted lanternfly, right? We don't have time to go into spotted lanternfly right now, but yeah, that is a very popular one for community members to talk about right now.
They're all over the place.
Yes, exactly. So
Just killed one on the way in.
let's call it spotted lanternfly there, because even I have to control myself and not have to be a 30-minute. But there are other events coming up. Today on today's social media, we posted an event for tree planting happening at the Kingston Point Dog Park. Let me pull up that one. Little admin reveal here.
Oh, I think the Memorial Tree Fund's providing
That's
that.
right, yeah, so, I'll just pull up the Facebook graphic right now. Yes, I've coordinated with some dog park visitors who've really wanted shade trees put in. The only shade tree within the park died this year. It was an elm tree. Dutch elm disease got to it, unfortunately. These trees will be planted during this event on Sunday, October 5th. Notifications have been put out in various places, flyer boards along the Kingston Green Line Trail at the dog park. At the dog park, in really big letters, it's written, dogs will not be allowed during the event. There's just going to be too much busyness going on. But then they're welcome as soon as the event is done. Trees and dog parks can be very challenging, of course, a lot of pressure there. So our parks department is installing 6-foot wide fenced areas, completely mulch lined before this event. They should be doing that next week. And then the fence will be openable for this event for us to then put the trees in, cover the mulch back up with the tree diapers, and then close the fencing up. So the trees and the tree diapers are being paid for by the Memorial Tree Fund.
And how long does the fencing need to stay around them until they're?
Yeah, I told Parks minimum 5 years. Yeah. And I've talked with the Parks foreman. He's feels very confident that they can keep up on that. Specifically because the inside is just going to be mulched. So weed pressure and everything will be minimized. And then similarly, I'll probably have follow-up events to, tend to the trees, put down fresh mulch, that sort of thing. Maybe the dog park rallies around it and they want to have more trees planted in the park as well. But yeah, that's the next official one coming up. It was posted on social media today. I'm excited about all these events. I'd love to have you all attend as well. And maybe at our October meeting, or an email beforehand, we can talk about, wrap up fall events, spring or winter tree maintenance events, or spring, bloom celebration events as well. And then with our last couple of minutes, I want to touch on Tree Board University. Yeah, so chapters 2 and 3 are sections to go over. Was everyone able to get like the gist of chapters 2 and 3 in their free time? Thank you so much. Go ahead.
I didn't get to 3, but I
Okay.
looked at 2.
Yeah, that's fine. This is kind of talking about defining roles of tree board. Maybe we think a little bit, I'm hoping October agenda will be much lighter compared to
Yeah.
today's. So, maybe we can get into the idea of like roles and organizational development, in it, in our October meeting.
The one thing I don't think I've ever seen is job description.
I think that's a really good idea.
I talked about that in, I don't know whether it was, what chapter it was in.
It was kind of discussed in the interview process, though,
A little bit, yeah.
to get into the.
Let me go back to chapter 3.
Interview?
Yeah, and then chapter 3 gets into, relationship management between parties and organizations. And what the idea of, teamwork and like role establishment can look like. So I wish we had had more time for this today, but it was a really ambitious agenda to get through. I think this is an item to touch on for the October meeting. I think review materials for October, because I know Corinne really wants to be involved with this too. She's at the Kingston Wine Farm celebration right now, doing some stuff for like Midtown organization things. October meeting. Let's make it light on additional reading, and we'll touch on the roles from these chapters.
Is there a way first, perhaps you could provide questions about what you'd want to discuss at that meeting, so maybe I could virtually answer because I can't come to it.
Yeah, good point. So you're going to be out on that one. I like that idea. And I'll make a note of that.
So if I get it ahead of the meeting, then I can give whatever thoughts I have, if I do have any,
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way. I don't want you left out on the next meeting then. Okay, with that, we're at 6:20.
Motion to adjourn.
I do have a question about this.
Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
That you can't get to the next section unless you
Complete the quiz.
first
Yeah.
section. So I went and did the quiz. There's three things in the quiz.
You didn't have to admit to that.
For the quiz, do you have, I noticed there are a lot of websites to go to, but then those have links to them. And I'm thinking, oh my God,
they were very standard questions on the quiz.
The quiz is
For the
really,
chapter itself.
really straightforward. And there's also not a like, if you bomb the quiz, you can't proceed either. Like they won't hold you back in some respect.
Wrong, and they're like, change your answer.
Yeah.
And so I changed my answer, and they're like, okay, good, now you can move on.
Yeah.
Because I had one of them, I misread
Is the quiz at the end of 3?
Yes.
Okay, because I did 1 and 2, started doing 1 and 2.
Yeah, ideally, I would have wanted us to go over the quiz together here, just for
Okay.
the joke of it, but, you know. Completely on your own time. But, okay, so, so we got a motion to adjourn by Evan for 6:22,
Yeah.
second by Amanda.
All in favor?
Okay, we're good.
What's the next meeting?